G'day there everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Now you've worked really hard, you've crafted your custom Microsoft list, you've added some columns to it, you've got it just the way that you want. You've even added some custom column formatting to make your columns look nice. Now, would it be good if we could make that available to the rest of the organization so that they then can reuse this templated list? So think of maybe a vendor list or a product list or a customer list or something like that, that different departments or functional areas across your organization might get some benefit of using that list. It also means that we've kind of got a standardized approach to capturing that information. So we're going to take a look today at how we first of all create the list, then how we create a template for that list, and then be able to reuse that when we go to the new list option in your SharePoint site. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the finished product or the finished list that we're going to take a template from. So we can see here I'm on a team site, I've got a vendor list, and that's the master list that we're going to use for our template. You can see that we've got our title, we've got a manager, we've got a link to the vendor website. Now you can see that this is not just any normal hyperlink column, well it is really, but it's got some column formatting associated to this column. We've got a choice column, we've got a contact, which is just free form text, and then we've got our location fields here. So what we're going to do is take a copy or a template of this list, all right? Not with the data, but just the list. So I'm just going to open up PowerShell. I've got the PowerShell ISE open here just for a little bit easier visual representation for the video. So the first thing we're going to do, and we do need to run a couple of PowerShell modules or a couple of PowerShell commands here using the SharePoint online management module from PowerShell. So the first thing we're going to do is use this connect SPO service. So I'm just going to highlight this. I'm just going to run this particular command here. It is going to pop up an authentication box for us so that we can then authenticate. So we just enter our username and our password, and then we'll authenticate to that particular service. So we've got, here's the authentication box. I'm just going to paste in the password, and then we will be all good and be all authenticated. So we are now good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to just pass in into a variable. We're going to pass in the URL or the location of our list. So you can see here I've got the full path, and you can see the full path in the address box up the top. We're just going to run that now, and that will then capture that and store that in this variable. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an SPO site script, or we're going to use that command. So I'll just paste this in here. We pass in a title, so you can see here I've got the Copilot Studio vendor list. We pass through a description as well, and then the content component switch here, we're going to pass in the contents of the list. So we're just going to run this command now, and you can see that we get a couple of things back, all right? The important thing that we need here is the ID of this particular site script, because we need to use that in the next command. So I'm just going to grab the next command here and we'll paste it in, and the next one is going to be adding the actual list design itself. So I'll just grab that, we'll paste that in here, and let's have a look at that command. So we can see that we're using the add SPO list design. We're passing in the title of the list here. All right, so let's just change this a little bit, and we'll go the Copilot Studio. We'll use a different one here. Vendor list, and here we've got vendor, so we've got all of our description, we've got our title. Now here you can see that we pass in our site script. All right, so this is where we can grab, and we can just copy this out of here. We'll just copy the ID, and then we'll paste the ID just in between these talking marks here. We've got the list color, we pass in a color orange, a list icon, and also a thumbnail. Now I've got a PNG that's located in a brand assets document library inside that same site. So we're just going to use that, and we will run this command here. and we'll hit run, and that's running here, and you can see that that's been successfully run. And now what we should have when we jump into the site, and let's open up another site here. So we've got our templated site. Now remembering, we're not going to have the contents of the site, it's just going to be the framework of the site itself. So we'll jump in and go new list, and then not from the Microsoft templates here, but we've now got a tab from your organization. Now you can see here that the logo is a little bit distorted here, so it's not the right dimensions, but you can see here that we've got our list, and we'll click on here and we get the preview of that list as well. So we can see all of the different columns, and then we've got the summary here. So that's where the description comes into play. We can write a more detailed description, and we'll use this template, and we can see that we've got the title there. We name it to whatever we want, and we'll hit create. So that's now going to create that list with all of the columns here, all of the metadata. I'll click on new, and what's really good is that we get the column formatting that comes across as well. So if you remember back to this website column here, it is just a hyperlink column in our list, but we format it. We've added a little bit of formatting here. So I'll just change a few things here. Now we enter in, and we're using the location field of the list. You'll notice that we don't have all those other fields, metadata fields that we see in the list, because that's automatically generated from this location column. We'll hit save, and you can see here that we've got all of our information. Now that location didn't actually save. So let's just jump back in here. We'll go One Microsoft Way. We'll just find the address of this particular vendor. We'll just enter that in there, and then we'll hit save. And now what's going to happen, you'll see that that's populated with the other information from that location field. So that's how we can capture a list template. Now, what about if we want to remove a list template? So we'll jump back into PowerShell here. Now, what we can use is we can now use our what's called the get SPO list design command. So we'll hit we'll run this, and you can see that we get the ID and the information of that particular list. Now this will, if you've got multiple lists, show you all of the custom list templates that you do have. Now what we want to do is we want to use the remove SPO list design command. So this here, and we pass in the ID of the list that we want to remove. So here's the ID. So I'm just going to grab that. We'll paste that in there. We'll run that line there, and now that has been successfully removed. So now if I go back into this team site, it doesn't remove the list that we've already provisioned, but if I go to back to the home page, back to the home page, not that one. Let's just go back to here. We'll go to the home page of this site, and what we'll see is when I go to new list, we go from organization, you can see that that list template now has been removed. All right. So having the ability to create a list as you would like, which is you've created a list, you've added all the metadata columns, and you've even added some column formatting or view formatting or things like that. You can then grab that template using a couple of PowerShell commands, and then deploy that and create an organizational wide Microsoft list template that is available for all the users when they click on that organization tab in the creation process. So I hope that brings you some value today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.